Tucker Carlson is the next target, and it's all because he decided to do his job. So Carlson, as we all know, he's a journalist. A journalist usually hunts for the truth. And it doesn't matter if it's Russia, Ukraine, Israel, China, or the United States. The main point of his recent actions was to get both sides of the story. And as you may have guessed, this is in line with Carlson's interview of Russian President Vladimir Putin. Now, the interview has garnered hundreds of millions of views on social media, and it has a lot of people very angry.
I mean, he's like a puppy dog. You know, he somehow is, after having been fired from so many outlets in the United States, I would not be surprised if he emerges with a contract with outlet, because he is a useful idiot.
Wow. So Hillary Clinton refers to Tucker Carlson during his interview with Vladimir Putin as a useful idiot. Do you agree with this?
It's really quite sad that not just somebody like Tucker Carlson, who has, as I said, been fired so many times because he seems unable to, correlate his reporting with the truth, but also because it's a sign that there are people in this country right now who are like a fifth column for Vladimir Putin. And why? I don't know. I mean, why are certain Republicans throwing their lot in? Why are, other Americans basically believing Putin? Why did Trump believe Putin more than our 11 intelligence agents?
So Hillary Clinton questions the motives of people like Donald Trump and many Republicans for wanting to hear the other side, particularly from Russian President Vladimir Putin. Is there an ulterior motive here, or do they just simply want to know what does Vladimir Putin actually have to say, rather than only looking at the situation from one side? Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Now, let's go ahead and start with the European Union, right? So they are furious that Carlson did this interview and gave Putin a platform to share his end of the story. Guy Verhofstadt, a former Belgian prime minister and current member of the European Parliament, he even went as far as to call Carlson a mouthpiece for both Putin and former President Donald Trump. Now, he also suggested that since he helped Putin with his message, that Carlson be treated the same way wherein sanctions are also placed on this particular journalist. Carlson actually did explain why he did what he did. He says that most Americans are just completely unaware as to the reason of Putin invading Ukraine. He added that he wasn't doing this because he loved Putin. He was doing it because he loved the American people and the United States of America, basically saying that we deserve to hear both sides of the stories. And he also said that Americans deserve to hear the side of Putin as we continue to fund this war out in Europe. Do you guys agree with him? Definitely hit me up in the comment section down below and let me know what you guys think. And before I go any further, all I ask of you guys is to take a second, drop a quick like for the video. It really means the world to me. And by sharing these videos, that definitely helps out the channel a huge amount. So I just want to thank you guys so much for always sharing the videos and liking the videos. Thank you. So these actions may very well place Carlson on a travel ban within the EU, something that some analysts say is unfair. Why? Well, because Carlson himself admitted that he also reached out to Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky to grant him an interview as well. But Ukraine basically said thanks, but no thanks. This now leads many analysts to believe that Zelensky is not interested in sharing his story to an actual journalist. But what do you make of that? Why would Zelensky not want to have an interview with Tucker Carlson? Why would he want to avoid that? Let me know what you guys think on that one. Now, from Russia, let's go ahead and move on over to Israel, where Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has just said no to a potential ceasefire with Hamas. Why? Because he said it was delusional. So let's look at what Hamas asked for here, right? Within the first phase of the deal, Hamas demanded that thousands of prisoners in Israel be released, specifically those aged 18 to 50 years old, with 500 of them being handpicked. They also wanted Israel to fully withdraw from Gaza within the second phase in order to release even more hostages of Hamas. As we can all see, it's a very one-sided deal here. So this means that the conflict there will probably go on for a lot longer, basically something that Biden's administration will not like. Now, speaking of the president, they're now repeatedly touting that they've gained or again forgiven billions upon billions of dollars in student loan debt. An additional $4.9 billion in approved student loan debt relief is now set to make life easier for around 73,600 borrowers. Now, some analysts actually say that this is them merely trying to buy votes. What do y'all think? Others are saying that it's unfair for borrowers who were able to pay off their student loans by just working multiple jobs and sacrificing. But despite being able to do this, the president is still in a murky situation for the 2024 presidential election. This is only further proven by recent reports that have now shown that he is the most unpopular U.S. president in modern history. In fact, after more than 1,000 days in office, President Joe Biden now holds the lowest approval rating among U.S. presidents since 1948 at 37.7%. Now, this is due to economic concerns and disapproval of military aid spending, and probably also the handling of the Texas border situation between the United States and Mexico. So, yes, that includes billions of dollars that we've sent out to the Ukraine. To date, I believe that we sent around more than $70 billion to the Ukraine, with even more on the way depending upon whether or not Congress is going to approve this recent bill or not. Now, we know that President Joe Biden touts these numbers to us, basically saying that it's the only way for Ukraine to win this war. However, this narrative is souring on some Americans, with a report from late last year showing that almost half of the country feels that we're just spending way too much money on aid to foreign countries. The latest efforts to send billions of dollars more is at a standstill, as Republicans have yet to approve the bipartisan bill that includes funding for the Ukraine, Israel, and our borders. And since we touched on this topic, New York City Mayor Eric Adams, he's called for even more funding to be provided to help illegal immigrants under his jurisdiction. So Adams is calling for at least $4.6 billion to cover the cost of the migrant crisis in New York. He also said that since he took office, New York's shelter population has tripled. Wonder why? So Adams confirmed that the city is paying for housing, for food, and other services for thousands of illegal immigrants. The ironic part about this story is that just days before he asked for this money, he announced $53 million in prepaid cards for illegal immigrants. The cards are meant to buy food and baby supplies. Better care than those who are on Social Security, SSI, SSDI, even homeless veterans, and the cards are also expected to be giving out more money compared to SNAP and EBT benefits, meaning that hardworking Americans who live here, they're not even getting the same treatment. Do you guys agree with this notion? Now, there are some that say that nobody forced New York to become a sanctuary city. For New York to use taxpayer money to house people and feed them, that was their call. Some even called it a self-created crisis. The situation isn't the same for all places, though. Take Boston, for example, when Governor Mauree Haley asked residents a very tough question. Are you willing to open your doors for illegal immigrants? Haley admitted last year that they were at their limit and they wanted American citizens to open up their homes and provide shelter for thousands of families. This caused a lot of backlash, and it's very easy to see why. Would you open your home to some random strangers? Let's talk about someone who wants to shut the border down completely. Former President Donald Trump is still dealing with a lot of legal issues, one of which is if he should be included in the ballots for the 2024 presidential elections. Those who are challenging his right are referring to Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, where it bars people who have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the state from holding federal office. To date, both Colorado and Maine have invoked that clause, and they have declared the former president is ineligible to run in their territories. Trump, who has promised to end wars and close the border of the United States, remains very popular within the Republican Party. It's now at a point where people are voting for him even though he's not on the ballots. This was seen very recently within the Nevada primary, where 63% of voters opted to not choose any of the names included on the ballot. Trump was the only name that was left out. But what do you guys think about this? Do they not want the American people to make up their own mind about who leads the country? Are they trying to steer voters? Or are they right for trying to bar someone from running? And before I go, I just want to thank you guys for hanging out. Thanks for liking and sharing the videos. I totally appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.